and welcome to another Hayley-Roxanna crafts video. In this video I am going to share with you some terms that you may come across in relation to cross stitching and maybe even other crafting that you may not have heard of before, particularly if you are new to cross stitching and crafting in general. Some of these terms are ones I didn't even come across until I became part of the online crafting community, and some I did find a bit confusing to start with, as I didn't understand what they meant. So I thought I'd make a video on some of these terms just to explain what these words and terms mean. So the first term that we're going to look at is confetti stitches. So confetti stitches is a cross stitching term, and it refers to where you have lots of single stitches in different colours in a particular area of your cross stitch work. This area could be a large area or a small area, and it is known as confetti stitches as it looks a bit like the effect you get when you just throw some confetti. So the next term we're going to look at is parking. So parking is another cross stitching term, and it's used to describe when multiple needles are being used by a stitcher, each threaded with a different colour, to make it easier when stitching over a large area but with few stitches of each shade of thread. So it's particularly used when doing confetti stitches, as it saves a bit of time, as it avoids the need to rethread your needle over and over again. And the next term we're going to look at is needle minder. So a needle minder is a small decorative magnetic item that is used by some stitchers. It attaches to your fabric and holds your needle safe and secure when you're not using it. The way the needle minder works is it comes in two parts. The one part sits on top of your fabric and the other part goes underneath, and the magnet holds them together. And then the magnet also attracts your needle. Obviously you need to be using a metal one to hold it on there just when you're not using your needle, to save you losing it. So the next term we're going to look at is SAL, which stands for stitch along. So a SAL, or a stitch along, is where a cross stitch project is broken down into several parts, and the pattern for each part is released at regular intervals. And then everyone taking part in the stitch along usually will try to stitch each part of the pattern simultaneously. There are equivalent to SALs or stitch alongs in other crafting areas. For example, in crochet, if you were doing a similar thing where your pattern has been broken down, they would call it a cal or a crochet along. The next term we're going to look at is WIP. So WIP, or WIP, stands for Work in Progress. This is usually used to refer to a project that you are currently working on that is not yet finished. This is a term that can be used for anything you are working on, whether it is a cross-stitching project, another craft project, or even non-craft projects. So the next term we're going to look at is UFO. In the crafting world, UFO stands for Unfinished Object. This is a term that's used by cross-stitchers and other crafters to describe those projects that they started probably a long time ago, and then they've just left them abandoned in favour of other projects. You often see and hear of people in crafting groups talking about trying to tackle their UFOs, and this is when they're actually trying to take some of these projects that they have abandoned and actually get them finished. The next term we're going to look at is thread chicken. When a stitcher says they are playing thread chicken, what they mean is that they are trying to get to the end of a particular part of their pattern before they run out of thread. This could be that they're going to run out of thread entirely, so they'd have to buy a whole new skein to finish this bit, or it could just be trying to get to the end of the part they're doing without having to rethread their needle. So if they say that they have won at thread chicken, then it means they actually managed to finish what they were doing without running out of thread. And if they lost at thread chicking, then they have either run out entirely of the thread they need, or they have had to rethread their needle before they could finish the bit they're on. In crochet and knitting, the equivalent to this term is yarn chicking. So the last term we're going to look at in this video is frog or frogging. To frog or frogging is a term used when a stitcher has made a mistake and they're having to undo stitches, or they're having to rip the stitches out. So this is sort of where the term comes from, as rip it sounds a bit like ribbit, the sound a frog makes. You often see in cross-stitching groups when somebody's made a mistake, they are saying that the frog is visiting them. And frogging is also a term that is used in crochet and knitting when a mistake has been found and the work is having to be undone. There are lots more terms used in the cross-stitching and crafting community, but I feel the ones that I've covered in this video are the ones that I've most commonly come across. But if you know of any others that you think should have been included, please feel free to share them in the comments. And if you've come across any terms that you don't understand and don't know what they mean, pop those in the comments and I will see if I can explain them to you. Thank you for watching today's video, and I will see you next time. Bye.